Okay. Okay, I hope you can see me well without all the other things in the side.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, right. So this is the first class of reading comprehension. So what we'll do in today's class is, given that the other two people are not there, we're still trying to record this so that they can watch the recordings and catch up for the next class. Okay. So in this class, basically what we're going to look at is, yeah, one sec. Yeah. So we will look at what reading comprehension is on the GMAT, how it's being tested, what are the different things you should do and you should not do, right? Then we'll delve a little deep into what kind of passage structures are generally seen as a pattern on the test. Then we'll start with the first strategy, right? So about how to deal with RCs, the first strategy is what we'll discuss today. And then we have some practice passages that we can solve together so that the strategy, sits in your head and then you can do stuff for the rest of it. All right, that's what we're going to do. Okay. So why is this? Okay. So first things first, let's try and understand how important RC is to the test. Uh, there is no question of how important or how not important it is. There are only two question types as far as GMAT is concerned, right? One is RC, the other one is CR. So technically, as far as the test is concerned, this is going to have 50% weightage on the verbal section, right? So is it important? The answer is yes. Is it more important than something else? It's as important as any other question types, right? So you will, out of 23 questions, roughly you will see 12 questions of reading comprehension. Now, when I say 12 questions of reading comprehension, the way we are going to calculate this is we are going to see four passages, okay? And each of these passages is going to have roughly three questions each. That's a very rough calculation. Sometimes you could also have three passages and four questions each, but that's at least I've not heard that as a feedback from people who've written the test in the recent past. You generally have four passages and three questions each. So that's how you're going to plan time. What does an RC passage test you? It tests you on a very important skill that is required for you in a B school, which is to read and comprehend long pieces of text. Okay. Now, is it only to read and comprehend long pieces of text? In addition to that, what it's also going to test is how well you're able to answer questions based on that. Because in today's class, you will notice that reading a passage and summarizing the passage is very easy. That's something that everybody will be able to do. 80% of the times you get that right. But when you have to answer questions, extrapolating the information that's given in the passage, then that becomes slightly difficult, right? So it is important that you start answering questions based on the passages that you've read or based on the text that you've read. And where is this going to help you as far as the B school is concerned? You generally will read a lot of case studies, right? You read case studies and then you answer questions based on the case studies, right? So that's this skill is going to help you there. So basically the GMAT is testing you on whether you have that particular skill on the test. Okay. Now the most confusing part is this one. Answers are from the passage for sure, but they're not directly from the passage. Now what do I mean from this? One thing I can tell you for sure is that every right answer, right? So let me write that down. Every right answer is going to have some proof in the passage. This is for sure. Now, why am I saying this? Because when we solve questions, I'm going to keep asking you this question every single time. I'm going to ask you to show me proof in the passage that's helping you come down to this question, right? So every right answer is going to have some sort of proof in the passage for sure. There's no going back on that. But like the IELTS and the TOEFL and the PT, which are slightly easier versions of the test, will your answer be directly from the passage? Is it just going to be picking up a word and writing that word, or picking up a word and choosing that option? It's not going to be based on that, right? The right answers will depend on your understanding of the text that's there in the passage. So you'll have to read the text, okay, and then you have to understand the text, and then you have to answer. Now, on tests like IELTS or TOEFL or PT or even all the reading comprehension, tests that you've done earlier, you can just directly read an answer. But on the GMAT, the understanding part becomes very important. So you'll have to understand what's there on the passage and then answer questions. That's why I always keep saying, no matter how many strategies and techniques I give you, if you're not able to understand the piece of information that's there in the passage, then there's no point of solving RCs. You should have a basic understanding of the language that's there on the passage. Techniques will help you up to an extent of 50%, but the remaining 50% you will have to understand. Which means the other way around. If you're already good with language and you're able to understand the passage, that's 50%. The other 50% will be solved by techniques and strategies, right? Now, how does it impact the test? RCs are level indicators. Now, what do I mean by level indicators? Now, let's say you have 23 questions and you have 4 passages. Roughly every fifth question is going to be an RC, right? So let's plot that. So you have question number 1, you have question number 23, right? So you have question number 5, question number 10, question number 15, question number 20, right? Now you're going to have RCs everywhere. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what is a level indicator? You know that the GMAT verbal or any section on the GMAT for that matter is adaptive in nature, right? Himali, can you tell? I'm sorry, Mayuri, can you tell me what adaptive means? Do you remember from the earlier class?
Yeah, it's more like the way you answer the question, the difficulty level for that.
Changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you answer the question right, your next question is going to be difficult, and if you answer a question wrong, next question is going to be easier, right? Now, an RC passage is going to take you from one level to another. So when you see an RC on the test, you know that this is going to indicate, or this is the place where your test is actually changing level from easy to medium, medium to hard, and or from hard to medium and medium to easy, right? And that is the reason why within an RC passage, the adaptive nature of the test doesn't work. So what do I mean by that? Let's say question number 4, 5, and 6 are RC questions, right? So question number 3 is going to be CR and question number 7 is going to be CR. Now, the adaptive nature will only be between question number 3 and 7, but not between 4, 5, and 6. Which means 7 will be greater than, it will be tougher than 3 if you have got 2 questions right. 7 will be easier than 3 if you have got more than 2 questions wrong. So depending on how cumulatively you're performing on a reading comprehension, your levels change drastically as far as the test is concerned. So when you see an RC, it's an indicator that the test is changing levels either to a higher level or to a lower level. Mayuri, did you have a question?
Yeah. So does it also matter that depending on how the question number 3 is answered, the kind of passage comes up also adapts?
So it will depend on, let's say 1, 2, and 3 are all CR. Depending on how you've answered 1, 2, 3, your RC passage you will get a medium level or a tough level RC passage.
Got it.
Right? And another general understanding is the initial questions, which means the first 2, 3 CR questions and the first RC passage are always going to be of a medium order of difficulty. They're not going to be too easy, they're not going to be too tough. Depending on how you perform there, the next section of the test will change drastically. It's either going to be tougher or easier. So that's why getting the first 10 questions right is very, not even 10, right? The first 30%, which means the first 7 questions, getting them right is very important. The first few, until let's say, okay, let's look at it like this. Um, until you hit the first RC passage, getting those questions right is very important. And that because that will set the tone for the remaining section of the test, right? So when you see an RC passage, understand that you have to do well, especially at least out of the four. The first two RC passages are very important. You have to do well on them, and only if you do well on them, your score is going to increase. If you don't do well on them, then your score is also not going to go beyond a certain point. Are we clear with this, both of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, now, given that RC is so important, what are the problems at least people face or people come and tell me? Now, I'm not telling these problems to worry you or give you some sort of anxiety. I am telling you these problems because being aware of the problems is the first step towards solving the problems, right? So the first thing is anxiety kicks in. Why? Because Sai has told you in the RC class that RC is a level indicator. The moment you see a passage, your mind will start to wander, right? Okay, now is my test going up? Is my test going down? What's going to happen? And stuff like that. That's number one. Number two, if you think about it psychologically also, you'll have more processing time for an RC passage. Let me tell you how. Let's say question number 3 is CR. You will spend 1.5 minutes on a CR question. Okay. Then you have question number 4, 5, and 6, which is RC. Now, on question number 4, on this screen, you're going to roughly be there for about 3.5 minutes. Why? Because you will take 2 minutes to read the passage and 1.5 minutes to answer the question. So which means you're going to be on one screen for about 4 minutes of the test, right? 4 minutes is good enough time for our brains that are filled with cortisol to start thinking about what can go wrong in GMAT, what can go wrong in life based on that one reading comprehension passage, right? And trust me, people have come back to me and said that they have started thinking to the extent of saying, oh, if I don't do well on this passage, my level will go down, which means my score is not going to be great. If my score is not going to be great, my GMAT score is not going to be great. If my GMAT score is not going to be great, then I will not be able to apply to a B school. If I don't apply to the B school, then I have to continue on the same job that I'm doing right now. I don't like my job. I don't like my boss. Oh, tomorrow I have to go back to office. You know, that's the kind of thinking that people, it is very easy to actually, it's a chain of thought, right? That's the first problem as far as RC is concerned. The second problem is emotions. And I am a very bad example to say this to you, because even till date, if I see a passage that talks about Cold War or business between Soviet nations and the United Nations, United States, I become so paranoid because I don't like those passages. Right? If I see something that's to do with orangutans and chimpanzees, I like it because I'll be able to relate to it. Right? Or anything to do with science, zooplanktons or underwater sea corals. It's nice because I'll be able to understand what's there. But if there is some sort of a passage that is to do from history or business or economics, I generally don't like it. Okay. So the emotions, so see, that's a bad example. And I'm saying this because I'm going through that. Don't attach emotions to a passage. You'll have to deal with it as a passage, and that's it. Right? Now, sometimes what also happens is, as I told you, the subjects from which these passages are taken are tough. Or instead of the word tough, I should say they are dry and they are boring. Right? It's not always um it's not always an easy thing that you will see it. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so it's not always an easy passage you will see. uh, you will face passages that are tough. You will face passages that are slightly demanding in terms of understanding, right? The fourth point, which is not really a big problem, is that the vocabulary in the passage is new. Sometimes you may see words that you don't know. Sometimes you may see words that you don't understand. And the Indian problem, or the mistake that a lot of people do, is they keep reading on that word multiple times and they waste time. Now, remember that the GMAT doesn't test you anything that pertains to vocabulary. It doesn't test you vocabulary at all. So it's highly unlikely that you'll get a question that asks you for the meaning of a word. It's never going to happen that way, right? So if you don't know a particular word, skip that word, get the meaning of the passage contextually. That's what's more important. Don't be hung up on a word because you're not able to read it, you're not able to pronounce it, or it doesn't sound right in your head, or anything of that sort. Don't worry about that at all. Okay. Now, all these are problems with respect to passages. Then you come to the question, second challenge. Questions are not direct. If they were direct, then it's very easy for us to solve them, but they're not direct. They're they're sometimes convoluted. They're tough to understand. And even if you understand the questions, the options are very close to each other that you'll be able to eliminate three, and then you come down to the last two and then you're stuck and you end up choosing the wrong answer. Happens all the time, right? Now, at least as far as I have observed, there's nothing called a very tough RC passage or a very easy RC passage. It's usually in the middle range, right? Why? Because so there are two components, right? So you have a passage, you have questions. Generally, if the passage is easy to understand, the questions are tough to answer. You'll have more of inference based questions. Now, if the passage is tough to understand, then the questions are easy to answer, right? So it's generally a mixture. It's always going to be somewhere in between. You'll never have a completely easy passage. You'll never have a completely tough passage. So don't worry. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In ideal worlds, you should actually pray for a scenario like this, right? Because we know how to deal with passages. Dealing with passages is easy. Dealing with questions are difficult. Is difficult, right? So deal with passages, become masters in reading passages, so that your question answering becomes very very easy, right? And two biggest takeaways from this part, at least: please don't attach any emotions to a passage. It could be it could be about anything. Just don't worry about it. You're going to have one strategy. That strategy is what you're going to apply onto a reading comprehension passage. That's all it is. Don't think about, oh, it's good, it's bad, I like it, I don't like it. There's no place for emotions at all as far as RC is concerned. Are we clear about this? You can give me a thumbs up. You don't have to unmute yourself. Any questions here? Okay, great. So the solution is very simple. Don't associate yourself with the passage, right? Don't try to connect yourself to the passage. Remember, you're not reading a novel, you're not watching a movie for you to sit and aram say read and experience the magic of reading. GMAT is not the place for you to do that. Look at the passage from a distance, treat it like a task. You have an RC passage, your brain has to start thinking, okay, this is the task, this is the step-by-step approach that we discussed in class. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything else apart from this. Take a step back and cut yourself away from the passage. That's going to always help you. The moment you start investing in emotions, it's all going to go for a toss. That's the first tip I can give you as far as this class is concerned. Okay, so what is that task? What should I do? So before we get to that, what we'll do is we'll understand passages a little bit. So in this class, my focus is going to be based on passages, what kind of passages you will see, and all of that. So from this portion, see if you can take as many notes as possible, because it's going to help you understand. Okay. Now, as far as passages are concerned, I'm going to explain two perspectives to you. Okay. One, I'm going to explain passage structures. Okay. The other, I'm going to explain passage content. Okay. always remember, always, or I should say 80%. When I say always, it's 80% of cases, at least as far as classes are concerned. In 80% of cases, GMAT RC passages that you see will have a central idea, okay, and it will have supporting ideas, okay. So you'll always have some central idea and then a lot of fluff or fat that's around the central ideas, which are your supporting ideas. Usually it is like this. Now, when you read the passage for the first time, now as far as an RC task is concerned, you will read the passage multiple times because every time there's a question, you'll have to go back to the passage. So when you read the passage for the first time, your objective will be to find out this central idea. You have to find out the central idea. Okay. Now, depending on where the central idea is located, passage structures can be classified into four. Okay. Now, the first type is what we call as a pyramid, right? Pyramid understanding is very simple. The central idea is at the top. And as you go towards the end of the passage, there is a general description. There's a lot of detail that's going to be added. So the author tells you what the central idea is right in the beginning itself. He's not going to drag it further. As you go throughout the passage, it's just going to be adding on information. That's the first type. The next structure that you have is going to be called as an invert. An invert is the opposite of pyramid, which means the author is going to begin by giving you a general introduction, and the point that he makes is towards the end, central point. Okay, so I'm going to call it central point, CP. Okay, so the central point is going to be towards the end in an inverted pyramid. The moment you see some introduction, then you know that your point is going to be towards that. Let's take an example. Uh, an example of something that I can think is, let's say for a pyramid, the author says, okay, many people thought that the Earth was flat, but then some scientist in some century proved that the Earth is round. Then that scientist went and did this. He traveled all across the world. Then he started from point A, and then he came back to point A. Therefore, he proved that the world is round, right? So he tells you the point in the beginning and then goes on adding the story in the passage itself. That's a pyramid. Inverted pyramid. Inverted pyramid is something like, okay, the Amazon rainforest has a lot of species. There is this species, there is that species. All of these species form a wonderful food chain. You know, one species is dependent on the other for a food chain. But towards the end, this food chain is necessary for human beings to survive. That's going to be towards the end, the point. Now, when you read from the top, you'll maybe assume that the passage is about Amazon rainforest, right? But towards the end, you'll observe that the central point is that the food chain is essential for human beings to survive. That's the last part. Okay, so that's between a pyramid and an inverted pyramid. Then you have an hourglass. Hourglass passages are long. So as the name tells you, it's going to be an hourglass structure where the author starts with an introduction, then he tells his central point, and then he goes to add on his generic ideas. Generally, passages that have 2 or 3 paragraphs follow this structure. At the end of the first paragraph or in the beginning of the second paragraph, the author would have made his point. Whatever is in the beginning, whatever is in the end will be an introduction and an addition. Okay. And the last structure that you're going to have is called a pipeline, where right from the beginning till the end, the author doesn't make a point at all. He's just giving you information, 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 and information at all sides. Pipelines are generally rare. Okay, but you will see mostly you will see pyramids and inverted pyramids. Given that the GMAT has moved towards a shorter reading comprehension style, you will see mostly pyramids and inverted pyramids. If it's a long passage, you'll see an hourglass. Okay, knowing this is very important because this will give you awareness about where the central point is. Are we clear about the structures? Yes.
So generally, when a three paragraph passage is there, it's like, I'm of course it's not going to be 100% sure, but mostly it'll be Arya structure.
Mostly, yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. But don't go with that idea. Always read and then determine.
Cool.
Okay. Right. This is with respect to structures. Now, as far as content is concerned, 80% of passages on the GMAT. Again, I'll use the word 80% all the time. 80% of passages on the GMAT talk about two things. They either talk about a problem or they talk about a change. Okay. Somebody would have had some problem in the world, some problem, some company, some country will have some problem with another country, some philosopher would haven't had a problem, some king would have a problem, some industry might have a problem, some animal has some problem or the other. A passage will talk about that. Okay. Now, when you detect or when you sort of understand that the passage is talking about a problem, you sort of will know if you read the first paragraph. Then what you can immediately do is you have to get answers to four questions if you have to understand what the problem is. What are the four questions? First, what is the problem? Then, what is the cause of the problem? Then, what is the solution of the problem? Okay. And are there any examples? Usually, number four also is not very important. But as long as you understand what is the problem, what is the cause of the problem, and what's the solution of the problem, you'll be able to understand the passage more or less. Okay. Now, the other side is where it's a change. Something is changing. Earlier, people thought like this. Now, people think like this. Earlier the king said this, but now the government is saying this. Earlier, two countries were in love with each other. Now, the two countries are fighting with each other. Some sort of a change. Now, the moment you detect that the passage is talking about a change, you'll have to understand again three things. First, what is the change? Which means you'll understand what was before the change and what was after the change. And number three, you'll understand what is the effect of the change. As long as you understand this, you'll be able to understand the passage in general. Now, I'm not saying your questions will be this. Don't misunderstand that. Your questions may not be related to this. But if you ask these questions and if you start answering these questions, then you will understand the passage in general on a very high level. So when you read the passage for the first time, now I would want you to start consciously guessing about what the passage structure is and what the passage content is. Whether it's a problem or change, it could be a third thing where it is not a problem, not a change, then we can't do much. Then it's okay. Just leave it at that, right? But if it's a problem, then basically you'll understand what is the problem, what's the cause of the problem, what's the solution of the problem. If it's a change, you'll talk about what is the change, what was it before the change, what was it after the change, and what is the effect of the change. If you understand this, you'll understand the main idea of the passage to a great extent. Are we clear with this? Okay. Now, what should I read and what should I skip? Okay. Now, there are certain things that I've picked up which could be important and which could help you um, on the day of the test, right? But we will try and summarize this towards the end of the class. Now, what should I read? When you have a complex sentence, and what's a complex sentence, at least in this case, without teaching too much grammar, when you have sentence one, and then you have the word that, and then when you have sentence two. When you see the word that in a complex sentence, read only sentence two, the second part. For example, researchers said that the earth is round. Right? In this case, I don't care about who said it. Researchers said it, Sai Kiran said it, doesn't matter. What matters is what comes after that? The earth is round. So when you have something like this, when you have a that that's connecting two sentences, focus on what's after the that, right? Similarly, when you have a complex sentence, understand only the main clause. Again, without too much of grammar, let's say, uh, I had my share, not knowing what to do, right? So here, I had my share, comma, not knowing what to do is a complex sentence. And when I say complex sentence, you have one main sentence, and then when you have another subordinate sentence. Okay. Now in this, understand only the main clause, which is I need to know, you need to know that I had my share. You don't have to worry about the half part that comes after the comma. Okay. Then sentences with conjunctions. What do I mean with conjunctions? Let's say you have words like but, for, so, still, however, therefore, even though, although, any word like that. Slow down and read. That's very important because that tells you the direction in which the passage is flowing. Okay. And in addition to all this, for every paragraph, irrespective of what the first sentence is, always read the first sentence. Don't never skip the first sentence. Read the first sentence. Okay. So these four are very important. Whenever you read the passage, when you have the word that, read what comes after that. If it's a complex sentence, understand only the full sentence. If there are conjunctions like however, thus, therefore, clearly, and all of that, slow down and read that sentence and read the first sentence of every paragraph for sure. What should you not read? When the passage says, for instance, for example, don't read that. Skip. If the passage gives you numbers, data, skip. Skip that sentence. If the passage is going on giving you sentences that add information, additionally, on the other hand is important, but when it says additionally, this definition is, when it keeps on adding information to whatever it's already been said, ignore that. If your paragraph has a long sentence that goes for 2 or 3 lines, ignore that. If your paragraph has relative clauses, and when I say relative clauses, these are words that begin with who, when, why, what, and which, right? If your sentence has parts like this, ignore them, right? Similarly, if your sentence has adjectives, adverbs, which are basically descriptions, definitions, anything that is adding more information, ignore. When you read the passage for the first time, you should only understand what the author is trying to tell you. What is he trying to tell you from that passage? It's enough if you understand that. You don't need to understand all of the other information that the author is giving you when you read the passage for the first time. All of this is when you're reading the passage for the first time. Later, you will anyway go and read the passage the second time to answer questions. That's a different story altogether, right? But when you read the passage for the first time, make sure you only read and understand the author's opinion. Information is not required. Any questions here? Are we clear with this?
Can you give me one more example for read second point in a complex sentence, understand only the main clause?
Sure. So, okay, I'll just pick up. Let's take another sentence. Having been on a diet for 30 days, Clara lost 5 kg weight. Okay. Now, in this sentence, Raj, can you identify what the main sentence is, the complete sentence is?
Having been on a diet for 30 days.
That's not the complete sentence. When I say complete sentence, grammatically complete sentence. So
Okay,
this is
Clara
not a
lost
complete sentence.
5
Yeah.
weight.
Clara lost 5 kgs weight. That's a complete sentence. Having been on a diet for 30 days is not a complete sentence, right?
Yeah.
So ignore that. This is important.
Clara lost sky weight.
So
Okay.
I don't care about what she has been doing. The point is that she lost 5 kgs weight, right? When you read the passage for the first time, it's enough to understand this. Later, if a question asks you to say what are the things that Clara did to lose 5 kgs of weight, then you can come back and read this.
Hmm.
Okay, but when you read the passage for the first time, you don't need to understand all of this additional information. Just understand the main point of that sentence.
Got it.
Okay, I'll give you one more example just to make sure. Though Van was married, he was always in an open relationship. Now, Mayuri, this time would you want to take this? Can you tell me what's the important sentence in this? I mean, the full sentence in this?
Van was always in an open relationship.
Correct. That's the full sentence. Though Van was married is not the full sentence, the half sentence. So, which part do I need to understand? The full sentence or the half sentence?
Full
Main
sentence.
clause. Full
Yes.
sentence.
So, this is what is important. I don't care about this. Clear now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you say this descriptions and definitions,
Hmm.
don't you think, let's say, for example, if we skip 1 or 2 points and then again we go to the question and then come back to the passage, it may take some more time
Hmm.
because we are running on that uh, time constant. So,
Correct. Now, you will come back only if there is a question that's asking you for a description, right? If there is no question that's going to test you on description, then you're actually wasting time by reading it for the first time. So that's the risk you're taking, right? So if you don't know, if you if the test gave you an option to look at all the questions, then it would have been easy to decide whether to read or not to read. But you don't know that. So that's the reason why I'm saying don't read it when you do it for the first time. Otherwise, if it has 2-3 definitions, then you'll end up wasting time reading all of it.
got it.
Right? Only when the question asks you, then read only that particular definition. But it's very, very rare that GMAT asks you for what is the meaning of this as per the passage. It's very rare. It doesn't ask you for questions like that.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So if I were to like summarize all of this, right? So there are like 7-8 rules that you have here, right? 9 things that you have to remember. Instead of remembering these 9 things, just remember this one line. Okay. And I'm going to give you a very interesting acronym for this. It's called R. Okay, I write it somewhere here. ROSI. Remember this. This is going to be your mantra as far as reading comprehension is concerned. Read opinions, skip information. Right? So when you read a sentence and the first half of the sentence, you sort of understand that, yeah, the author is trying to tell me something. Then slow down and read that sentence. Very important. But when you read a sentence and that sentence starts with things like, for example, then you know it is information. So skip it. Just jump that sentence. Just leave that sentence completely. Go to the next sentence and see what is true. Because think about it.
Just a doubt here. When you say skip, or so is it like completely skip it, or like just skim through it, so that when you go back to the question, if something is asked from there, you know where to go back to.
Yeah. So at my level, I will completely skip it. But to start off with, I would suggest you to skim, not to slowly read, but to just skim on top of it, because only then you will be happy. Otherwise, you'll have this fear of, oh, I've missed out something, I've missed out something. But if you ask me for an answer to that question, from my experience, I can tell you completely skip that when you read the passage for the first time. You have to only read the central ideas. And I'll tell you why, right? Let's say a passage has 10 sentences. Okay. I can tell you with guarantee that only 3 sentences are going to carry opinions. The rest of the 7 is going to be information and explanation. Now, the biggest mistake that we do is we are going to focus so much time on those 7 sentences that carry information that these 3 opinions we ignore. And that's why people don't understand the passage better. But if you're able to focus on these 3 sentences that carry opinion, then you can always come back to those 7 later. Because remember, when you're reading the passage for the first time, the objective is not to answer questions. The objective is to understand what's there in the passage. What is the author trying to tell you? If you get that understanding, you're good enough to go and solve questions. Right? So Mayuri, coming back to your question, should you skip or should you skim? My suggestion is skip. Get to a point where you can say, yeah, I'm very confident about this approach. I'm going to skip. That's what you should do. But to start off with, you can skim slightly just so that you become a little more confident. And until you internalize the process, skip. But get to a point where you can skip. Did I answer your question, Mayuri?
Got it. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So remember this. Rosie is your mantra as far as RC is concerned. Read opinions and skip information. Don't read the entire thing. Because it's see, another example that I can give you is in a lecture, in a class, right? You have a professor who's coming and teaching you something. There are 2 things that a professor does. One, he talks to you out of experience. 2, he reads from a textbook or a PPT or an OHP. The talking part is what we paid for, right? Not the reading part. So if there is some presenter who's just going to read from the slides, I mean, even I did that in some cases, right? There were pointers, but you are here because you want to listen to me talking, not to see those pointers. The pointers you can always see anytime, right? So that information is not required. What I am telling you is what's important. And if you analogize that to an RC passage, the sentences where the author is carrying opinions are the sentences where he's trying to tell you something. Understand what he's trying to tell you. You don't have to understand from what some book in 1947 there was this one book from which page number 42 I took this example. You don't have to understand that. You can come back to it if there is a question that asks you for it. Are we clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry, I'm going to teach you how to do this on an RC passage. This is just theory for you to understand. Okay. So what's the step-by-step procedure? Let's finalize on that before we get into a passage. Okay. So let's say your RC passage. So here, remember 2 terms. Okay. One is passage and another one is paragraph. I'm sure you know the difference. One passage has 2 paragraphs. One passage could have 3 paragraphs, but you'll always deal with one passage. You'll never deal with 2 or 3 passages. They're only when they're different items. Okay. So paragraphs are like subsets of passages. So let's say you have 4 paragraphs. You will never have 4 paragraphs, but let's say you have 3 paragraphs on an RC passage. Then you start off by reading the first sentence. The first sentence is very important. You have to read the first sentence. No other go. Right? Then from the second sentence till the end of the passage or till the end of the paragraph, sorry, I keep interchanging this. From the second sentence till the end of the paragraph, follow Rosie, which means if it's an opinion, read it. If it's information, skip it. If you're unsure for now, read it. It's okay. Okay. If it's an opinion, read it. If it's information, skip it. If you're unsure, read it. Now, you'll reach the last paragraph, last sentence. In the last sentence, if it is different from whatever is already being said there, which means it has a word like however, thus, therefore, if it is some marker that's there, read it. If it's already going to be whatever is there on the top, then you can skip it. You'll be able to decide. Okay. This step you will follow for all the paragraphs. At the end of every paragraph, make a heading. Now that heading should not have more than 5 words, and all the 5 words or all the 3 words or all the 4 words that you use for the heading have to be from the paragraph. You don't bring your own fancy word onto the heading. Never do that. Right? So your scratch paper will look something like this. So you'll do P1, some heading, da 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 da. Then you'll have P2, then some heading, da 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 da. Then you'll have P3 and then some heading. That's how your paper should look like. So you'll know what is in paragraph 1, what is in paragraph 2, what is in paragraph 3. This is what we call as a map. And why do I call it a map? I'll again explain you. A map will tell you where what is. If you, for example, need to find out what are the ATMs in Koramangala, you'll know what the map will tell you that there is an ATM on the street. It will not tell you what is there inside the ATM. Right? You have to go there and find out. So it's like that. So map will tell you what's there in paragraph 1, what's there in paragraph 2, what's there in paragraph 3. If you need more information, you have to go back and read it. And if your map has more than this information, then you're actually wasting time. Okay. So I'll repeat. First sentence, you have to read from the second sentence until the last sentence of the paragraph. Follow row C, jump, jump, jump. If the last sentence is completely different, read it. If it's already existing, then forget it. After you finish the first paragraph, make a heading. That heading should not have more than 5 words. It should not have any new words. All the 3 or 4 or 5 or 2 or 1 word that's there in the heading has to be from the passage, from the paragraph. You cannot add new words. If you add new words, then you'll misunderstand it. That's the whole reason. We're clear of this?
Yes.
Oh, great. Now we'll apply this onto a passage. I hope you can see my screen, right? I'm going to do the first, passage with you so that you're all there with me, okay? So we have the first paragraph, first sentence. I have to read the first sentence for sure. So I'm going to read the first sentence. It says, scientists long believed that. The moment I see that, I should read what's coming after that, right? That 2 nerve clusters in the human hypothalamus called suprachiasmatic nuclei were what controlled our circadian rhythms. Now I'm going to take a step back. What is it talking about? It's talking about some SCN. The short form is already given. And this SCN is controlling our circadian rhythms. Did you understand that, Mayuri and Raj?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to the next sentence. Those rhythms are the biological cycles. I'll just stop there. What is the sentence going to talk to you about?
What are circadian rhythm? Like what is
Correct.
circadian?
It's a definition.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip this completely because I don't need to know what a circadian rhythm is. Go to the next sentence. Studies have demonstrated that. I'll stop there. Don't read anything further, okay? Now, studies have demonstrated that. What is this? Is it an opinion or is it information?
Information?
Yeah, because
Information.
studies have demonstrated, okay? But I'm very eager that the word that is there. So let me see what's coming after that, okay? That in some animals, the SCNs control daily fluctuations in blood pressure, body temperature, activity level, and alertness. Now I know this is Bakwas sentence. It's a sentence, it's information, right? So I'm going to skip this. Next sentence. What is the word that it begins with?
Furthermore.
What do you mean by furthermore? Is it giving you something completely new or is it already something that's present?
That's present.
Because it's saying furthermore, it's adding on to it. So I don't have to read that sentence.
Okay.
Right? So my only important sentence is in the first sentence. My first sentence says there is some SCN that's controlling our circadian rhythms. That's all. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what heading am I going to make? If I were to make a heading for this, what heading will I make? Paragraph 1. I have to make a 5-word heading. What heading will I make?
SCN controls our circadian rhythms.
Mayuri, do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes. SCN controls circadian rhythms. That's all.
It also controls daily fluctuations, blood pressure, and body temperature.
Those are circadian rhythms, basically.
Yeah.
So you don't have to write that down. That is information, so you don't have to write that down. Okay.
It also
Now,
controls in some animals.
No need, not required. As long as you know that it is circadian rhythm controlled by SCN, you're totally fine.
Got it.
Okay. Now, heart of hearts, I know you're smiling. So let's go to the next paragraph. And see, I'll tell you, all this will look like magic when I'm doing it. You'll eventually, when you do it, you'll know the problems. Okay. We'll go to the next one. Second paragraph, first sentence I have to read. 4 critical genes governing circadian cycles have been found to be active in every tissue. However, not just the SCNs of flies, mice, and humans. Important sentence. What am I able to understand from this, Mayuri?
Uh, well, how does it work? Like, what controls circadian rhythm?
Correct. Okay. Raj, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think that's the same.
Yeah, there are genes that control the circadian rhythm. Have you
Circadian
understand that?
rhythm.
Have you understood that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Next sentence. What does it begin with, Mayuri?
In addition,
Should I read or should I skip?
skip.
Skip.
Yes. Perfect. Let's go to the next sentence. The next sentence is here.
While.
Should I read this?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Why?
opinion.
Yes, because you're saying while. The moment you say while, you're trying to contradict something that's already there. That's an indication, right? So you go ahead and read that. While SCNs remain synchronized. Sorry, I am reading the wrong line. Yeah. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Hmm. While scientists do not dispute the role of SCNs in controlling core functions, such as the regulation of body temperatures and blood pressure, scientists now believe that. So far, all of it is flux. After this is what's important. Circadian clocks in other organs and tissues may respond to external cues other than light, including temperature changes that recur regularly every 24 hours. So what is the final thing that the passage is saying?
That circadian rhythm controls like the tissues in other tissues also respond not just to light but as well as the temperature changes.
Correct. So Raj, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. Last sentence, last line. I think
Hmm.
that's the main. That will be the main gist of passage 2.
Correct. So this is going to be my main point. What is it trying to say? Is SCN the only thing that's controlling circadian rhythm?
It
No.
no. It also controls other different factors.
Does it control other different factors, or do other different factors control this?
No, other different factors control. Yeah.
Yes. So other factors control
Circadian rhythm.
circadian. That's all. This is your map.
Got it.
Okay. Now, can you tell me what the structure of the passage is?
Uh, it's S1 that S2. Same structure what you gave.
No, is it a pyramid, inverted pyramid, hourglass, pipeline?
It, it's an inverted pyramid.
It's an inverted pyramid. Why? Because the point is towards the end of the
Yeah.
passage.
Yeah.
Mayuri, do you get that?
Yeah, but it could also be pyramid, no, because they started with talking about circadian rhythm.
But what's the main point? Conclude. Like the main point is towards the end, right?
Correct.
So that you'll have to identify that. Okay. And usually what happens is, okay, again, I can tell you from experience, though it's not scientifically proven, right? When you have an opinion in the beginning and an opinion in the end, the opinion in the end is what matters. The opinion in the beginning is just a starting opinion, right?
Mm.
If it were to be a pyramid, the last part, this sentence would not have even existed. It would have just added more information to it,
Got it.
right? And what is this talking about? Is it a problem or is it a change?
I think it's a change. Yeah.
The change. So what is the change?
And earlier they used to believe it's just SCN who controls the CAD and rhythm. Now it's other
Now
factors
it's
also.
other factors also. Super, that's all. Right? So this analysis you'll have to do. And what our people will do? No, they'll forget all of that and they'll say, oh, Earth's rotation is there, synchronization, sunlight, Earth's rotation, fluctuation, BP, alertness, nighttime release. They'll read all this information, which is not at all required. This
Mm,
analytical understanding is what you need to have of a passage.
got it.
Mayuri, making sense?
Yes.
Let's try one more. All of these are OG passages. That's why I picked up. They're all screenshots. Okay, let's do it together this time. So, Mayuri, what should I do with the first sentence?
We should read it.
Yeah. So, can you read it?
Yeah. In their study of whether offering a guarantee of service quality will encourage customers to visit a particular restaurant.
The
Tushi
sentence
and
is.
Tanaga have found that the effect of such guarantees is mixed.
Hmm. So, what is the sentence trying to tell you?
There are surveys says that the quality of the restaurant affects if the people will be encouraged to like service quality affects the recurrence of customers going to that restaurant.
Is that how it? What have these people found out? Tushi and Talaga.
Effect of
Uh,
such is mixed.
Mixed.
Yeah,
So, which means
it's not 100%.
does it really affect the customer visits, or does it not affect, or is it
It
mixed?
it's mixed.
Yeah, it's mixed.
It's mixed, which means it doesn't really affect it. Sometimes people will come, sometimes people will not come. You got that, Mayuri?
Yeah.
Okay. Raj, what should I do with the next sentence?
Uh, for higher priced restaurants, we can skip this.
Hmm. Why? Why do you think we can skip this?
It's adding some additional information for higher priced restaurants.
Correct. It's taking one set of restaurants and it's explaining that. So as
Exactly.
long as you have that, it's okay. But again, so as far as I have dealt with in this passage, some people are doubtful, so you can go ahead and read it also in case it's fine. But you can skip it; it doesn't matter. Mayuri, can you go to the next sentence?
Yeah. For lower priced restaurants, we should
Should I?
make skip this as well.
Correct. Now you know why you're skipping that and why you're skipping this. This is just taking two sides
Yeah.
of the restaurant. Okay. Uh, yeah. Raj, next sentence.
Moreover, so
Hmm.
there is an addition
Correct.
opinion. So we can start reading this.
Uh,
Moreover,
okay.
More
Moreover is an
than
addition.
adding more information.
Correct. So you don't have to read it. Only when there is
okay,
a change in structure, you have to read it.
okay.
Okay. Right. Mayuri, next sentence.
This is not generally true in the case of skilled. So I
Hmm.
think we should read this because it's kind of a contradicting to what they were
Correct.
saying.
Correct. And also, when the sentence says this is not generally true, it's an opinion. It's not an information.
Yeah.
Mm,
Right. So you read it. Yes. Yes, Mayuri. So read it.
This is not generally true in the case of skilled activities such as electrical work, where consequently a guarantee might have greater customer appeal.
Hmm. Now tell me, what does the sentence say?
So they're saying earlier they were saying the service quality is a very mixed guarantee if the customers will come, but unlike any other service, which is like when you need a skilled labor or skilled activity to do, the consequent guarantee is what matters.
Correct. So now you know where does the guarantee work?
And where does it not?
Where
It
does
works
it
to
yeah.
work?
have a skilled, huh?
Correct. It works in skilled activities. It doesn't work in
Restaurant kind of a service quality.
super. That's all. So what will I put as a heading for paragraph one?
Service quality matters in a skilled work.
Yes. Service quality matters in skilled work. Okay. And if I'm a little paranoid, I will also write doesn't matter in.
Restaurants.
Yes. Okay. Um, certain other way of looking at it is where does service quality matter? That is also a heading. That's like a generic heading.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, but this is good. We'll stick with this. I would also write this. I wouldn't where does service quality matters too generic a heading. So I will not do that. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Raj, next sentence now. Should I read or should I skip?
Yes, we should read it.
Why?
It's the first sentence of second paragraph.
Very good.
So, for restaurants, generally, the main benefit of a service guarantee probably lies not so much in customer appeal as in managing and motivating staff.
Hmm.
Next, I think
So first understand this sentence. What is it trying to tell you? So when you read the sentence also, that's another tip, right? Just not reading it, you read and just try and understand what it is. Just take 2 or 3 seconds to understand. So what does the sentence tell you?
so. They're saying is the main benefit of a service guarantee doesn't lie uh, much in customer appeal,
Hmm.
but also in managing and motivating the staffs.
Correct. So it's not only for customer guarantee, but it's also for staff.
Staffs.
Okay. Mayuri, next sentence.
Staff members would know what's. I think we should skip it. Like it's just adding more information about staff members.
Because you know it's also related to staff. The next sentence is
Ah.
talking about staff, so ignore it. Okay. Raj, next sentence.
Additionally,
So,
that's information.
so
We should read it. Additionally, guarantees.
additionally, you should skip Raj.
Okay.
Additionally means information. Till then, you're right. If it's information, you skip it. Okay.
I'll just take it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're clear.
Yeah, I'm clear.
Okay. Now tell me.
So we should skip it. So
Ideally, we should skip it because it's adding more information. But
Correct.
Since the passage is ending here, so shouldn't we read it to get the, what is the closing statement?
Not required. Actually, not required. Again, see, on the day of the test, I wouldn't be at the back of your head to tell you what to read and not to read, right? In this case, I can tell you that it's not required. But if you feel like reading it, read it. Okay? Because see, already by doing this method, you're reading not even 50% of the passage. So it's okay if you read 1 or 2 sentences extra by mistake. It's completely fine. Okay? But for now, you don't have to read it. Okay? Okay. So what does paragraph 2 say? What heading?
Restaurant service quality, like the service quality is important for
also
staff.
about managing and motivating the staff.
It's also for staff.
Staffs, yeah.
That's all. That's your map. So if your question asks about something about general service quality, you look at the first paragraph. If it talks about staff, you look at the second paragraph. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell me what structure this passage is in?
This is in the first structure, the main pyramid structure.
Okay. Mayuri, what do you think?
I think it's like a pipeline
Why?
because there's some information here and there which is being added.
I agree with you, right? So it's a pipeline. It's talking about service quality, where it is important, where it's not important, wherever it is important, in what also it is important. So it's just talking about the whole thing, Raj. Okay, so it categorizes the pipeline. But again, this is trivial. You don't have to categorize the structure and all. No question is going to ask you which of the structure is the passage. There's never going to be a question like that. So it's okay if you don't get it, as long as you know where the main idea is.
Got
Okay. Is it talking about a problem or a change?
Problem.
Change.
Okay.
I think second paragraph is talking more about the change.
Is it changing, or is it adding, Raj?
See, first paragraph, of course, it's a problem.
Hmm.
Second paragraph, I believe, thoda says change.
Okay. So you're saying it is a change because it's giving you like an additional perspective. So change is only when it's completely changed. Okay. So it's again fine. As long as you know what is the problem. Okay. Now I'll ask this question to you. What is the problem, or what is the central core issue?
Core issue is the service quality,
Correct.
which is mixed. Yeah.
Correct. Then you know that, right? The effect is that you also know what it is changing into. So it's
Yeah.
completely fine, right? So as long as you're able to identify the don't the problem change is just a construct for you to think. You
Yeah.
don't as long as you identify this, you're good to go.
Hmm. Got
Okay.
it.
If you ask me, I would categorize this Mayuri as a change because it's basically earlier they were saying service quality is important. Then he said it's not important there, but it's important here. And wherever it is important, there it is not important for what we discussed earlier. It's a new concept, right? But not entirely a change per se. It's just something that is adding on information.
Got it.
Okay, cool. Slightly more confident.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, after this, I'll give you one important step. Now, after reading this, you'll take about a minute or 2 minutes to read this and do this by yourself. I would want you to take 30 more seconds to, to check your understanding of the passage after you finished reading. And you can remember this as MIST, MIST. So, only two acronyms I will give you all throughout reading comprehension ROSI and MIST. Those are your strategies. What is MIST? Identify main idea, issue, structure, and tone. Main idea. What is the passage talking about? Like, for example, if I take Chennai Express, the main idea of Chennai Express is Deepika Padukone. That's the central character around which the entire story is revolving, right? So, main idea is going to be that one thing, one person, one animal, one idea, something about which the passage is being written. That's your main idea. Then you have issue. Issue is what is happening to that character. So again, Chennai Express, the issue is going to be that she ran away from her house and Shah Rukh Khan came in, then she fell in love with Shah Rukh Khan. That whole story is your issue. Okay? Structure. When it comes to structure, two things. One, you already know. Pyramid, invert, hourglass, pipe. You already know that. But the most important thing is this. Does the passage have a single opinion or does it have multiple opinions? It's important to guess this because the questions will depend on the number of opinions you have. Okay? And then tone. Two things again. Is the author happy, sad, or he doesn't have any feelings when he's talking about this? Positive, negative, neutral. Don't use the words positive, negative, neutral. For now, we'll stick with happy, sad, no feelings. Is the author happy? Is the author sad? Are there no feelings? Okay. And then the second thing is what is the author trying to do in the passage? There are 5 things that he can do. He can predict that something will happen in the future. He can recommend a solution to a problem, or he can just give you information, blah, 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 blah. He can correct some ideology that's already existing, or he can evaluate whether something is working or not. Okay. So how can you remember this? The third acronym for the class is called PRICE. Predict, recommend, inform, correct, evaluate. Okay. So quickly check that. What is the author trying to do? Most of the times you can have a combination also. It could be inform and predict. It could be inform and evaluate. It could be recommend and correct. It could be anything like that. Okay. It is okay to have a combination, right? So ask yourself these questions. Main idea. What is the central idea? What's the author telling you about the main idea? What is the structure? Does it have a single opinion or does it have multiple opinions? And where is that opinion? Is it in the beginning? Is it in the middle? Is it all throughout? That kind of a thing. And tone. Is the author happy, sad, or there are no feelings? And what is he trying to do in the passage? Okay. Any questions here?
No.
No, but just trying to understand one thing. I get the main idea and issue, understanding that, and I
Hmm.
get the like, why do we need to understand tone? Because there are certain passages they ask direct, straight away question like,
Hmm.
what was the author trying to do here?
Hmm.
But how, like, what importance does understanding the structure of the passage hold?
Hmm. So the importance of understanding the structure is just for your mental peace that okay, you've identified the main idea, and the main idea is here. It's in the center, it's in the beginning, or it's at the end. So the question asks you, you can directly get to that portion without reading the entire passage or without searching for the entire.
Got it.
Okay. So let's do this for the passages that we read. You already know this, right? Nerve clusters and SCNs.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the notes. Okay. So now let's look at MIST. Main idea is issue, structure, and tone. What is the main idea here?
How is circadian rhythm affected?
But what is the passage talking about? Is it talking about circadian rhythm?
It's talking about the core functions.
No,
It's talking about how, like, factors that affect circadian rhythm or how it is controlled. No.
no. Ah, okay.
Or
We'll
what
go with that.
controls circadian rhythm? What
Yeah,
controls it?
factors that affect circadian rhythm. Or I was actually expecting this.
SCNs. Okay.
Yeah, okay. But for now, we'll say factors
Circadian rhythm.
that affect circadian rhythm. Uh, Raj, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you know about the factors? What's the issue?
That there are multiple factors that control it.
That there are many factors. Yes. Raj, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Structure you already know. But can you tell me PRIC, predict, recommend, inform, correct, evaluate? What is he trying to do?
Evaluate.
Inform.
Okay. Only inform?
Uh, it's not
Evaluate.
eval. It's not trying to recommend.
Okay. Mayuri, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I'm saying it's not trying to evaluate. Like, is it kind of a evaluation that
No,
what
it's
are all factors?
evaluate is when the author is trying to find out whether it's working or not working.
Okay, it's correct.
Yes. Why is it correct?
Because it started saying SCNs affected and then they later on changed it saying that other
Yes.
factors also.
So correct and inform. Okay. Tone. Tone, sorry. One tone is, yeah, it's correcting and inform. Structure you already know, sorry. Then the other one is it single opinion or is it multiple opinions?
Multiple opinions.
Multiple opinions. Okay. And is the author happy, sad, or he doesn't have any feelings here?
Thing doesn't have any feelings here.
Okay. Mayuri, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. But I would say, isn't it like a single opinion because it's just one scientist who's giving the opinion? Are we talking about in that sense, or are we talking about the opinions that are coming out?
Uh, it's good to identify here as multiple opinions because questions may ask you for different things.
Got it.
So when I say single opinion, multiple opinions, basically you're trying to say how many opinions are there in the passage, and the structure will tell you which is the main one.
Got
Okay.
And in case if the passage has numbers that these many, the research says that these many scientists came out with this opinion, then of course it will be a multiple opinion.
These many
No.
scientists came out with one opinion means it's one opinion. Now, there are
Okay.
some passages that say, I remember reading a passage about some extinction of some species. One group of scientists thought that, however,
Hmm.
there were contenders that then thought that. Then there was a third group that thought this. Then that is multiple opinions. But if all the people think the same thing, then you'll consider it as one opinion.
so
Okay.
it doesn't matter basically how many people are thinking it. It's just what is coming out
Number
from
of
it.
opinions, yes. Okay.
Got it.
Hmm.
This one, main idea.
Mm. Service quality.
Raj, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. What is the author telling you about service quality?
Issue
There are
that might have. He's talking about the customer appeal.
Hmm.
I think it's
Hmm.
about where the service quality matters.
So both the things, right? So it is where the service quality matters and for whom it matters.
Yeah. Where
Okay.
along? Yeah. Correct.
Structure,
Right.
Pipeline.
that we know. Single opinion, multiple opinions.
I think it's a multiple opinion again.
Okay. Mayuri,
Single opinion.
why?
Because it's just when they're saying it matters. They don't change the saying it doesn't matter. It just added on saying it also matters. It plays a major role in motivating staff as well. But they don't change the opinion.
Raj,
But the overall study says that if you do this, then it's not just about the customer. I mean, the service guarantee, but it's also about managing and motivating the staff. So it's overall opinion, I would say.
so single or multiple?
Multiple.
Okay. Okay. So here you would consider this as multiple, Mayuri, because here, see, here it talks about one, and here there's a very clear opinion saying this is generally not true. It's true in some other cases. So the author is giving you like a contradiction to what he said earlier.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And tone, happy, sad, no feelings.
Tone is like I don't know. I mean, I'm just confused between no feelings and happy again.
Okay. Do you have any words in the passage that tell you whether the author is happy or sad? That's your indicator.
I think since he's talking more about managing and motivating,
Is he
so I
motivated? No, right?
no.
Then
No feelings.
no feelings. That's all.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Right. So no feelings and predict, recommend, inform, correct, evaluate.
Inform and correct.
Inform and correct. Okay. Agreed.
Could be
Raj,
recommend also.
what?
Recommend as well, yeah.
He's recommending that it's not applicable there. It's applicable here.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, inform, correct, and recommend. Okay. I wouldn't really call it a recommendation because it's not the author's recommendation. He's just telling you where it is applicable, but it's okay. At this stage, it is fine. As long as you know that he's trying to change something and he's trying to tell you a point, it's still inform and correct are strong. Clear?
Yeah.
Got it.
Good. Good, good, good. Okay. So just take a 5 minute break and then we'll do some more passages. It's 8 o'clock exactly on my system. I'll give you a 5 minute break. 8:05 will be back. Okay.
Done.
Are you both back?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have another 25 minutes odd, so 20 minutes odd. So let's go ahead and solve some passages this time. You should not take more than 5 minutes to complete solving and discussing a passage. So let's start. Okay, so I'm not going to help you. Just try and do it by yourself, and then we will go ahead one by one. Okay, so first passage on your screen now. Time's up. Are you done?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost.
Almost. Okay. So let's just go. Okay. I'll ask you, Mayuri. Just go ahead and tell me what's the main idea of the passage.
Study on preserving rainforest.
Okay. Raj, do you agree?
Yes, also, I think promotion of new agricultural technologies.
Okay. So there are two different things, no? Study on preserving. So Mayuri, did you somewhere note down that it is also about agricultural technologies?
No, but it's more like the ways that are suggested and the outcome that will come if
Hmm.
we preserve rainforests.
Okay. So okay, what are the main sentences that you guys read? Let me ask you that. What are the main sentences which you read, Mayuri?
The first sentence.
Okay.
Because after that, it's just adding on to more information.
So you only read the first sentence, is it?
Yeah, matlab I tried to skim through overall, but found the first sentence to be more important.
Okay. Raj, did you read any other sentence?
Yes, I read the first sentence.
Mhm.
After that, I also read that uh, this rainforest found that farmers with some formal education were more likely to adopt improved plant varieties, but
Mhm.
less likely to use chemical herbicides. And
Mm.
this point, the Spanish part, more likely to adopt both technologies. So this is what I read.
Those who spoke Spanish, they were more adapt to both technologies. Okay.
Yeah. Post which, again, one more thing, what I found is they found that longer residence correlated with more adoption of improved plant varieties. So the last sentence again I read.
Okay. But less adoption of chemical herbicides. Okay. So net, do you both agree that it's talking about agricultural technologies in rainforest areas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the main idea is going to be
Okay.
agricultural technologies in rainforest areas. In rainforests. Okay. Raj, do you agree?
Yes, that was my P1.
Okay. Issue. What is the author telling you about these technologies?
Author is saying that uh, the people, uh, those who were speaking Spanish, they were more likely to adopt both technologies.
But that's just a specific example, no? He's talking about different kinds of people, right? The Tohaka people, then farmers with some formal education, then farmers who spoke Spanish, then again Tohaka society. He's talking about different people. So what you said is one type. Okay.
Hmm.
Mayuri, what was your issue? What was the issue, your understanding of the issue?
It's mostly on the variety, like challenges in different areas and different.
Challenges? Does the passage have the word challenges somewhere?
Not really, but more
Ah,
like more around the lines key variety of technologies and where they can be used and
okay.
applied.
Okay, so can we say it is the how it was used by different groups of people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so used by groups of people. Okay, structure: single opinion, multiple opinions.
Multiple things.
Raj,
Mm, multiple opinions.
multiple opinions. Why? Because different studies of different groups of people show different things, right?
Yeah.
Mayuri,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Correct.
multiple and pyramid, inverted pyramid.
Pyramid.
Raj,
Uh, Slightly confused between pyramid and pipeline, I would say.
okay, good confusion. I would categorize it as a pipeline because he's talking about the same thing all over again. Mayuri, if it was adding more information in terms of becoming more generic, then it would have been a pyramid. Here he's not becoming more generic. He's giving you more examples to explain the same point over and over again.
Got it.
Okay, but again, it's okay as long as you're able to identify the thing. It's fine. Tone: happy, sad, no feelings.
No feelings, I guess.
Mayuri?
I would want to say sad, but there are no clear indicators for that.
I too had the same confusion.
Correct. So as long as the sentence doesn't, as long as the passage doesn't give words like disappointed or any negative words, assume it is neutral. Okay, no feelings. Okay, and price: predict, recommend, inform, correct, evaluate.
Evaluate and inform.
Okay, Raj, what do you think?
Evaluate, inform, and yeah, I think yeah, I think evaluate and inform.
Yes. No prediction,
Recommend,
no recommendation, no correction. Cool.
recommendation.
He's not recommending something. No, he's just telling you what people have found out.
Yes,
So don't recommendation is when the author makes a clear solution.
got it. Yeah,
Okay. But both of you seem to have had that feeling of, oh, I'm missing out something, I'm missing out something. You're not very
Yeah,
convinced about your answers, right?
yeah. So
Okay.
I'm genuinely interested to know here in this passage because it's more
Uh,
like a, like you said, pipeline passage.
uh, uh,
While I was reading it, every sentence I go started, it felt like it's just adding on to more information and it's not required to read.
yeah, yeah, true, true. I would have read the first sentence for sure, and then I would have done what you did, and then I would have gotten paranoid, and I would have read the last sentence. That's what I would have done, because the entire thing is one paragraph. If you look at it, it's not even multiple
Yeah,
paragraphs.
yeah,
yeah,
So if that's the case, uh, okay, it's just a tip, just to see. GMAT is all about also how you feel, right? You should feel comfortable when you're going to the questions. So
yeah.
if it's just one paragraph, then try and read one in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the end, so that you feel a little confident when you're going into the questions. That's just a tip. It's not the technique. It's just a tip for you to feel confident when you're answering questions.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's move to the next one.
yeah.
Okay, here goes. Again, 5 minutes. Done?
I think so.
You should be more confident.
The practice passages were very simple in terms of what we are solving now.
No, no, no. That's what I told you. It look very nice when I do it, because I've done it multiple times. When you do it, that's when you'll know. Okay, so it's okay. You will get used to this. It's fine. These are testing. This is the second passage you're solving. I would have solved such passages for the last 15 years. So there's a lot of difference. Yeah. Okay. Chalo. Can you tell me first? Let's identify the sentences that you read. Which sentences did you read?
The first sentence,
Okay.
the
The
argument
argument
for
for
monetizing
monetizing. Mm,
or putting monetary value on ecosystem functions may be stated thus.
mm.
Concern about the depletion of natural resources widespread, but this concern, in the absence of an economic argument for conservation, has not translated into significant conservational progress.
So we'll stop there. What is this sentence trying to tell you? What did you understand from the sentence?
That they're trying to put a monetary value on conserving economic resources.
Are they trying to put a monetary value, or is the sentence telling you that they're not putting a monetary value?
It's kind of an argument that they should put or not, or what should it be.
Super, great. Okay, did you read any other sentence, Raj?
Yes, I read this illusion. That illusion stems from the fact that services provided by ecological systems are not traded on the commodities market and thus have no readily quantifiable value.
Okay, Mayuri, did you read that sentence?
Yes, because it started with but, so it kind of give an idea that it's
From the fact
contradictory.
that services provided by ecological systems are not traded on the commodities market and thus have no readily quantifiable value. It's actually the same thing if you look at it. It's
Yeah.
telling you that this whole ecological systems do not have any monetary value. That's what they're trying to say. Okay. Which was the next sentence you read, Mayuri?
In Gretchen Daly's view, monetization, while unpopular with many environmentalists, reflects a dominant role that.
Hmm. Okay. Raj, did you read that sentence?
I read this as well as I also read this sentence, the tourist one.
Huh. That is a clear indicator, Noraj, because it says tourists visiting wildlife preserves, for example, create jobs. That's an
Yeah.
example. So you don't have to read that. Okay. The last sentence I know, that's Paranova. In Gretchen's daily view, monetization, while unpopular with many environmentalists, reflects the dominant role that economic considerations play in human behavior, and the expression of economic value in a common currency helps inform environmental decision making process. What are they trying to say? Wonderful passage, no, actually.
Yeah.
Mm. We have it. I mean, at least until I read it, I never thought about environment like this.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they're trying to say because like right now the services we get from economic environment is very subjective and it's not justified in one currency. That's why people are not able to see the value.
Correct. So my only suggestion to you, don't add your own words like subjective and all that. Just stick
Yeah.
to the words that are there, because subjective can give a completely different interpretation altogether. Okay, so don't do that. Okay. Raj, what did you understand?
Uh,
If you
on
were
the
to
same
summarize.
lines,
Okay. So what's the main idea, Raj, according to you?
monetizing,
Hmm. Monetizing?
just a second, I forgot.
Ah. Write down. That's why you have to write down. Okay. Write down. Don't try to keep this in your mind. Write down the summary whenever. Take notes when you're doing the passage. Hmm.
Commodities,
Monetizing what?
ecosystem functions on the natural resources.
Monetizing natural resources. Okay. Okay. Mayuri, do you agree?
Not really. It's more like should economic conversation be monetized?
Same thing, no, more or less.
Yeah, but it's more like a question. It's not a like
But what is the main idea? What is this passage talking about? That can't be a question.
monetizing the conversations,
Correct. So it
conservation.
is monetizing economic conservation. No, ecosystem conservation, environmental
Yeah, environmental
environmental
conservation.
conservation, conservation. Raj, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Issue. What are they telling about monetizing?
How to monetize it, like
Are they telling
factors,
you
how
how
to
to
evaluate,
monetize?
like how evaluation on
No, they're not telling you how to monetize. They're not evaluating either. The passage tells you whether they're monetizing or not monetizing. That's all the passage is trying to tell you. Are they monetizing or not monetizing?
they are not. They are sorry, they are as clear with the tourist example.
Read the highlighted sentences carefully and tell me whether what is the concern in the passage actually.
Concern is about the depletion of natural resources.
No, that this is what we call as getting lost in the details. You've read too much. That means. Okay. Does the passage tell you that there is environmental conservation, and because they're not able to add a monetary value to it, people are not able to understand the impact of it? Is that what the passage is trying to say?
Sort of, yes.
So then shouldn't that be your issue?
Yeah.
Raj, did you get that point?
Can you come once again?
So there is environmental problem. See, there is
Hmm.
depletion of natural resources. Okay. But the problem is that it has not translated into significant conservational progress. There is
Correct.
depletion, but it's not translating into progress. Why? Because people are not adding economic value to it.
Hmm.
So you
Got it.
can, so in simple words, what they're trying to say is, oh, Amazon rainforest is burning, Amazon rainforest is burning. We know that, but we don't know how much crores is gone in that.
Hmm.
If we know that 100 crores have been lost because of this burning, then people will take it more seriously. That's what the passage is trying to say.
Hmm. Yeah.
Did you understand that, Mayuri and Raj?
I
Or did
think
you understand? Sorry.
it's more evaluating like certain people matlab, what I got the gist out of it is that people say that like we are monetizing it, like let's like how tourists go and we monetize the natural ecosystem, but they
Correct.
don't understand that's also giving revenue, that's also generating money.
Correct. But that is a so he says to remedy this, Pierce, one has to show that all ecosystems have economic values. He's suggesting a solution, right? So that's
Yeah.
a solution to an existing problem, right? So the problem is going to be that the monetizing is not happening,
Hmm.
and the solution
Or,
is start
or is it
monetizing.
more like monetization is happening, but it's not justified to.
That could also be the case. Yeah. Or monetizing is not enough. Whatever is being done is not enough,
Yeah.
basically.
Not.
Raj, clear?
Agreed.
Okay. Structure.
I think it's pipeline again.
Okay. Mayuri.
Pyramid. Matlab, I thought pipeline, but now since we have more discussed it more, I think it's pyramid.
Hmm.
But we have pieces of information here and there, no?
No, but they started saying like the issue and everything they explain in the beginning itself. It's just different people are adding their opinion to it.
So yeah, pyramid.
Okay.
The issue is in the beginning itself, right? And
Hmm.
different people are adding what they think about this issue. Okay.
Hmm. Got
And
it.
a single opinion or multiple opinions?
Single opinion.
Raj,
Multiple opinions.
why? Why
You have
single? Why multiple?
David Pierce, Gretchen Daly's view.
Yeah. So Mayuri,
Too
that's
many
what it
people
is.
there.
Structure in this case is where the author's central opinion is. But single opinion, multiple opinions will just tell you how many opinions are there in the passage. It's not about the author's opinions. Author will always have one opinion.
But different people are coming and giving the same opinion, right?
Really? No, there are some critiques. And then some David Pierce comes and says one way in which this can be done. Gretchen comes and says some other perspective. It's the same thing, but they're giving you different versions of it, right?
Problem statement is one, but the versions are different.
Versions are different.
Okay.
Okay. Tone?
Recommend?
Happy, sad. Happy, sad, no feelings first.
No feelings.
Okay.
Mayuri, do you agree?
Yeah.
What would you, why is it not sad? Like sort of agitated somewhere. Author is like burning with anger, no? They're not adding value. That is why people don't understand.
No,
No,
but
but there's no clear indicators of that. It's just like people are giving opinions.
Good, now you've become experienced. See? So neutral, okay?
I think only one thing I've become experienced.
To find out the tone. There's no clear. So as long as there are no like bad negative words, just keep it neutral for now. And what are you
Yeah.
doing in price?
so it also depends. Let's say, for example, if we get the final solution from the passage through the author, then can we call it as a happy tone?
No. Happy is when the author says it's a remarkable thing that something has happened. That kind of words should
Okay.
be there.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Got it.
just call it neutral. Yeah. Price, may
Uh,
Recommend?
recommend.
recommend yes, evaluate yes.
I think somewhere. No, predict.
Any prediction for the future?
I think there are a couple of things added.
There is no prediction for future, but there is prediction about people's thinking.
People, yeah.
Where is it?
This in Gretchen's daily view, while unpopular with many environmentalists, so they're predicting that environmentalists are not
That is
committing.
not a prediction, no. That is prediction is only when you talk about the future. When you talk about the present, it's like an inference that you're making.
So then
So
I don't
predict.
think
So it's only recommend and evaluate, right?
yeah.
Inform obviously is by default, so I'm not going to talk about it. Mostly it is recommend and evaluate.
Yeah.
Raj, makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's the whole point. Now, the objective of this is instead of reading 10 sentences and trying to not understand anything, read 2 sentences, but really read them in depth so that you get the crux of the passage. That's the whole point of this exercise. Did you understand that thing, Mayuri and Raj?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. So we'll stop there. What we're going to do is, as homework, I will start posting. So see, this is the reason why this is the first class is because you're going to do RC until, as I told both of you in your individual calls, you will start doing RC from tomorrow till the day. If I have to be very dramatic about it, I should say till the day you die, right? But you're not going to become GMAT trainer, so you don't have to do it till you die. But till you write the test, you will do RC passages every day. Okay, and you can only become better if you do it every day. You cannot become better by saying, okay, today I finished RC, I'm an expert. It's never going to happen like that. Right? Even after so many years, I get confused. Right? So from tomorrow till the day you write the test, every day you have to sit and cry over one RC passage. That's when you're going to become better at it. And we're talking about some 100 odd passages in this time span. Right? And trust me, I'm telling you, you will become better if you solve 100 passages. Right? So this week, starting tomorrow, I will start posting 3 passages. What I would want is, I would want like in a piece of paper, or you can type it if you're using WhatsApp web, write P1, P2, MIST. This is what I want from you for every passage.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
You should take about 5 minutes to start off with. 5 to 7 minutes is okay to start off with, but eventually next class we are going to look at solving questions, so you should be doing this faster. 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Ideal time is 2 minutes. You should come as close to 2 minutes as possible.
Got it.
Okay, Mayuri, clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that puts an end. I will see you next week. Yeah, I'll see you next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Done.
Good night.
Thank you so much. Good night.